Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 6 of season 2 of our F1 25 My Team career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix back at Imola. No more Miami inside this game, at least for the foreseeable future. If they fixed it, I generally don't mind the Miami track. It's just very broken and also a sprint weekend inside F1 25. So for me personally, it was quite an easy one to drop inside this game. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from the Jeddah Corniche, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Currently, Isaac Hadjar 8th overall in the World Championship, Yuki Tsunoda down in P12. The team were in a rather lonely now P5 position overall. Obviously, McLaren, they seem to have found their footing this season, are making a lot of upgrades at the moment as well, and that is making our life a little bit difficult to try and keep up with them. If we head over to the assign upgrade screen, you can see we are still ahead of VCarb. We are closing in on Haas and Alpine as well. But yeah, McLaren now kind of as far behind Red Bull as they are ahead of Williams. So there is definitely a lot of chopping and changing going on behind the scenes at the moment. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. Also, if you want early access to all of the videos on the channel as well, you can do so by clicking the join button. It costs just £1 a month. Like I said, you get early access to all the videos and a couple of other exclusive little perks. But without further ado then, let's return here back in Europe. I'm going to race as Hadjar this weekend, but we'll see what happens.
Welcome along everybody to Imola, just down the road from Ferrari HQ, and they know a thing or two about pace, and pace today is king. It's qualifying day, and it's great to have you with us.
Well, annoyingly then, I've already found one issue with keeping swapping between both of our drivers. That's the engine wear. I have no idea what Isaac Hadjar's been doing. I can only assume he's just left the car running in first gear throughout the last 3 Grand Prix, just going because this engine was pretty worn out before I decided to fix it up, and obviously put some new parts in ready for this weekend. But heading out for my first run on a set of mediums in qualifying. I believe I've got a Mercedes right up my trumpet immediately, so this is going to be potentially a little bit scary. Oh, come on, Bortoletto, thank you. Just about gets out of the way as well as we make our way down into Acqua Minerale. Oh, that was too aggressive on the way in. You gotta push the limit to find the limit inside this game. We're still a 10th up on Pepe Marti in his V car there, but yeah, I'm sure the Mercedes not too happy to have been held up there. I think he's been held up even worse by Bortoletto, so not too sure what's going on. Down in towards the final corners though to finish off our qualifying lap. What will this first time be? Would it even be enough to see us into Q2? Luckily, it's a set of mediums, not a set of softs. No, it wouldn't. Well, Yuki Tsunoda then, currently up inside the top 10 in the other car. Quicker than Oscar Piastri in his Mercedes so far in Q1. I can only assume that Oscar was the Mercedes that was stuck up my gearbox as we started our last lap. But I need to find a good few tenths of a second here if we want to join him in that second session. Just going to be trying to be careful here. We know there's a lot of time to find. But so easy just to bottle the lap as well. I mean, I didn't hit anything. I guess that's a good thing there. But oh, I have messed up qualifying badly as our return as Isaac Hadjar here. Big mistake as we tried to get our lap underway. And well, for the first time this season, then we're going to be out in Q1. There we go, Charles Leclerc fastest in front of the Tifosi in Q1 then. Pierre Gasly, George Russell, Max Verstappen inside your top 4. So clearly McLaren's pace is back after a little bit of a shaky start to the season. There was quite a big break between Shanghai and here, so it has given teams a lot of time to get some upgrades on. I'm hoping Tsunoda will make Q3, but I mean, we were a 10th and a half away. We definitely should have been Q2 at the bare minimum.
This race has gone by several former names. The Italian Grand Prix, the San Marino Grand Prix, and now the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. It's race day. We're at Imola. Welcome. One lap of Imola, anti-clockwise of course, unlike most Formula 1 circuits, will take our drivers round 3.1 miles of track. 19 turns, 9 right-handers and 10 to the left. Drivers will need to be precise at the hairpin at turn 7, given the subsequent uphill section. Without a good exit from that corner, they'll lose a lot of time on that stretch. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And starting next to them is George Russell. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Piastri, Leclerc, Lando Norris, and Ocon, Sainz, Gasly, Albon, and Franco Colapinto, Lawson, Tsunoda, Ollie Behrman, and Stroll, Doohan, Crawford, Isaac Hadjar, and Paul Aaron, Pepe Marti, Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli rounds off the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
Well, I must admit then, I'm really excited to see what Tsunoda can do in the other car today. Maybe I'm going to have to race as Hadjar more if Yuki might be able to score points himself inside this series. Only time will tell, but clearly some of the upgrades are starting to work. Of course, this race last season was a brutal one-stop. It should be a little bit easier as we get more and more upgrades on the car, the tyres. They all just become a little bit easier to handle. Lining up though down in P17, the 5 red lights are on. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go then. Immediately try and get the jump on Jack Crawford. So I can see our teammate there getting a little bit squeezed out. Oh, we're going to go 3 wide on the run towards turn 1 there. Big run from Paul Aaron. And we're kind of going to get swallowed up. In the end, nowhere for us to really go. Down through turn 1 and turn 2. I think Andrea Kimi Antonelli, obviously the home hero there, took some grid penalties heading into this one. So he will just be looking to stay out of trouble nice and early on. And hopefully, well, make his way back through there is almost getting a run on Paul Aaron. Now we'll have a look to the inside. So make our way through the hairpin. As you can see, Tsunoda definitely sticking with the Williams. I am not having a good weekend so far, man. I thought we were fully ahead of Paul Aaron there. Hopefully I haven't given him any front wing damage, but I just basically pit maneuvered myself off of his front wing there, which was really not ideal. Luckily we're not a million miles away from all of the other runners early on, but I tell you what then, as we get to the end of lap 5 here, still really struggling behind the wheel of the car. And how typical is it that the first time this season the car looks to be legitimately quick? Yep, thank you Mark, I know what I'm doing, leave me alone. But yeah, how typical is it the first time this season that the car legitimately looks quick? I am really struggling with the balance of it. I think the only thing more depressing than my performance so far today has got to be that of Sauber this season. You know, they were in the fight for points semi-regularly last campaign. Hulkenberg and Bortoletto this year, the only team not to change a single driver. They are in the wars. I mean, at the rate we're going, these mediums won't even get to our pit-in lap of 14 here. We are absolutely shredding them to pieces. I'm hoping, though, we can try and make a move on Hulkenberg and therefore not be last in this Grand Prix. It's a small victory, but it is a victory at the moment there, as tucked up in the wheel tracks to the outside will go on the long run back towards turn 1. Oh, I can't even get the car slowed down there, down in towards that first corner, but around the outside of Nico will go. And Bortoletto, I mean, we're barely closing in on the other Sauber, and he's not even on wrecked tyres. Well, we might have to try and come in for an early pit stop over onto the set of the hard compound tyres, but even despite all these issues, still should be able to get a run on Bortoletto back down, whoa, in towards turn 1. That's the problem with this start-finish straight, that isn't really straight. Very difficult to kind of work out what the AI are trying to do. But I mean, even through there, the back end sliding. Hulkenberg might genuinely try and undercut us here, but of course we will try and one stop, he won't. There we go, Franco Colapinto then, our sole remaining Williams, the next one to peel into the pit lane. Yep, we're going to dive in this lap though. Tyre wear warning lights already on. I've tried, like I said, I've moved the brake pliers forward, I've tweaked the diff settings. Feel like we've got a car now that is slightly more stable towards the end of this stint. But 20 laps on the hard tyres is not going to be fun towards the end of the afternoon. I think Bortoletto and Hulkenberg are probably going to undercut me as well. We might temporarily go a lap down in this race. It's just a constant struggle early on. But we're not losing any more time to Pepe Marti, which I guess is good. I'm trying to bring the car through, and you can just see there, we cannot get it slowed down. And then you try and get on the throttle on the exit, and it's just all over the place. Try and get it stopped. Oh, smashed through the pit lane kind of speed warning sign there on the way in. But we will just about get the car slowed down there. As there will go Colapinto. The gap to Hulkenberg is still coming down. The same with Bortoletto. And I'm hoping we get a fairly clean, tidy stop. That's been alright, apparently. It's all Colapinto. He's made an error. Is that another Williams breaking down? Colapinto's going to drop out then of the Grand Prix as well, so no idea what's happened to him, but both Williams retiring from this Grand Prix. We're going to be back out in last place here, but if we got a safety car now, that would work out pretty well for us, mainly because of Verstappen, but he is about to put me a lap down. I've got to try and get past Hulkenberg again, because that'll mean that it's him that's got the blue flags, not me. Blue flags work in weird ways on these games. But I cannot afford risk going a lap down to Verstappen at the moment. I might not get much say though.
We're not racing the car behind. Let them pass when you can.
Yeah, thank you. I know. We've got to try and let Max by, I think. Otherwise, I think we're going to risk getting a penalty here. But hopefully, we can try and use the Dutchman to get a run past Nico Hulkenberg as well. Or just try and stick under his gearbox through these final few corners there, as he's also on hard tyres. So Verstappen trying to go very, very aggressive early on in this GP, but he has been comfortably leading this one right from the get-go. And hopefully, yep, Hulkenberg, I think he's going to let him by on the run towards turn 1. Will he just about? Yes, he will. Oh, and Hulkenberg there tried to cover me off, but like a steamroller on the way into that turn 1. We were not willing to back out of it.
Keep going.
Now I'm getting more blue flags, though, for I believe it's George Russell behind. Well, I wonder if it was a little bit to do with that spin we had on lap 1, whether that just overheated the tyres and we never got them back in the range we needed there. But as Verstappen finds his way around Bortoletto, we're going to try and do the same thing as what we did to Hulkenberg. Sauber have got to be a lot more on their toes than that if they don't want to let me by, but through we will go once again then. I know both their cars have still got a pit before the end of the GP. There's a load more cars into the pit lane here. We're not going to be a million miles behind Yuki. In fact, look at that. We're going to get the jump on Pepe Marti as well, as here comes Bortoletto. Going to have to sandwich him in behind Verstappen there down at turn 1. But if we, like I said, if we can just keep using the Dutchman here, we are making good progress. Good, come on, Max, get into the pit lane. Yep, there we go, the Dutchman in. So at least we're not going to have to deal with as many blue flags anymore. One of the Ferraris, I believe that's Leclerc, opts to stay out here then and continue on his run. Should only have one more lap before he dives in as well then, but yeah, we've got to try and close in on Paul Aaron. Ollie Behrman still looks quick. I think once those Haas cars dive in, Sonoda, he's not quite in the points, but he's not a million miles away. I think the main goal is see if we can get back to him. Oh, Paul Aaron, big wobble there, down through Aqua Minerale, and that's so easy to do, especially as you're trying to get the tyres worn in and into a rhythm. But yeah, the Estonian starting to look a little bit vulnerable at the moment then, as we've got the other Haas car diving into the pit lane, so we might be a little bit closer to that one than the first. So I don't know what position Yuki's in. I think he's just outside your top 10 at the moment, because obviously you've kind of got the 8 cars that are far away. You got, I believe, the Alpine there and the Aston Martin.
But we need to look after the tyres. We won't be making another pit stop.
So I believe, yeah, it's Doohan and Lawson that are having a bit of a squabble a bit further up for that final points-paying position. It's Crawford now in and back out, so we're up to P15 here. Tell you what, if these tyres can last to the end, I'd say the second half of this race has been a pretty good recovery.
0.2 seconds.
Oh, nothing we can do about Crawford at the moment then. I've got to try and use him to close in on Ollie Behrman in front. The gap to Ollie staying pretty stable at about 2.5 seconds at the moment, so hopefully Crawford will be the key. Although pretty much immediately he's already about to get me out of the range. We need like a late race safety car or something to spice up this race towards the end of the afternoon. Otherwise, I think, yeah, it's going to be the first time this season neither of our cars score. Well, with what might well be one more lap to go then of this GP, I tell you what, this has been a real wake-up call and a really interesting Grand Prix in the end. Number 1, Sauber have nearly been lapped by everybody in this Grand Prix. They have got a huge amount of work to do if they want to try and get back in the fight. Number 2, your front-running group have almost lapped everybody else as well, so yeah, it looks like McLaren have taken that leap back towards the front, and the gap now between them and everybody else is utterly ludicrous at this early stage of the season. I know how there was a glitch where like Apex GP and stuff and Connorsport would upgrade their cars far too quickly. I wonder if the top teams also update their cars quicker than everybody else can, because the way that gap has opened up at the front heading into Season 2 has been utterly stupid. Not going to try and defend from these guys though on the last lap of the Grand Prix there. We may as well try and bring the car through to the checkered flag, but it looks like Lando Norris, for his very first race with the Tifosi here, looks like he is going to claim victory on their home soil, so a very, very impressive weekend from him. George Russell, again, looks like he's going to be right there in contention for the victory as well. But through the final corners, Lando Norris, what a day it is going to be for him. A race victory for the Italians in his very first attempt. Surely, again, like Russell, he is a big title favourite.
Here's the checkered flag, and our winner has landoed. It's Lando Norris for victory.
To come here and take victory as a team today on home soil was so important. You can see how much it means to them. The drivers there doing their part. The team's strategy was perfect as well. And the fans really embraced that. What a great atmosphere we had here today.
It's time to bring out the bubbly and spray it around. It's our podium celebrations. He holds the trophy aloft, and why shouldn't he? A richly deserved win today for Lando Norris.
Well, absolutely gutted then when all is said and done. Kimi Antonelli misses out on points for the first time. Sorry, Yuki Tsunoda misses out to Kimi Antonelli by just 33 thousandths of a second. That's how close it was between us and scoring points yet again this season. But fair play to the Italian. From the back of the field to P10. What a recovery drive that was. Lando Norris takes the victory though, 3/10 clear of George Russell. Max Verstappen again on the podium, just ahead of Leclerc, Piastri and Carlos Sainz there, with Ocon, Gasly, Doohan and the aforementioned Antonelli inside your top 10. I think, unless that was a bit of a flash in the pan for Tsunoda, if that pace looks to stay with him throughout the next few Grand Prix, it might be worth us racing permanently as Isaac Hadjar, just to try and make sure we got 2 opportunities at scoring points. Sadly, Hadjar's AI inside this game is pretty terrible at the moment, but yeah, both Williams failing to see the checkered flag. I think they would have probably filled in the, 52-second gap between your big 4 teams and everybody else there. So maybe that gap kind of blown up a little bit more than we would expect to see it normally. Having a look then at our World Championship, Russell now 8 points clear of Lando Norris. That gap keeps kind of chopping and changing between the two of them. Verstappen and Leclerc with an outside shot still, but a little bit further behind, just ahead of Piastri. Esteban Ocon just ahead of both McLarens. We drop down to 9th as Isaac Hadjar, still ahead of Alex Albon. And Kimi Antonelli there now fully ahead of Yuki Tsunoda as well. I believe that was Doohan's first points of the year, so yeah, both Alpines now have got points on the board. It just leaves our V-Carbs and our Kick Saubers. Constructors-wise, Ferrari 8 ahead of Mercedes, Red Bull in a distant P3 ahead of a very distant McLaren. We're still in 5th there ahead of Williams and Haas, with Alpine and Aston Martin all with points on the board. Thank you all so much for watching. It was a tough one, so a massive thank you if you made it to the end of the video. But we'll be back very soon, ready for, I believe, the Canadian Grand Prix.